We all remember the truckers' Freedom Convoy that converged in Ottawa back in 2022. Well, there's another convoy taking place this weekend called Farmers Protest Canada. So joining us from the Toronto area is Jim Kerr, who is one of the people involved in this protest. Welcome to Bridge City News, Jim. Great to have you.
Nice to see you.
Okay, what kind of protest is this exactly? When and where is it happening?
It is a grassroots protest if I've ever seen one. And the answer to the next question, where and when it's happening, the 22nd is when it's happening. But where? I couldn't tell you. What's happening is that everybody's making their own posters, and they're going from a local city to a neighboring city, and they're doing it all over the country. So it's literally trying to keep up with all the locations.
Yeah, trying to keep up the locations is, probably not, probably a little challenging. Okay, so with that said, what is it that farmers are protesting about? What are the issues?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't pin it necessarily as the farmers being the core of who attends this. This is anybody who cares about our farms, anybody who ate breakfast this morning, anybody who understands how important it is that farmers are allowed to continue to do their business, as well as farmers. They'll also be included, I'm quite confident. Anybody who is concerned about government overreach right now, those are the ones that are going out on there's going to be slow rolls all over the place, but there's also going to be people gathering on overpasses and in public parks and just basically breaking bread with one another, employing some time together to discuss the issues and figure out what we're going to do about it.
Okay, well, since you said there's little pockets of these happening, I understand that there will be a convoy meeting in High River, Alberta at 10 a.m. Chances are you won't be there because you're in Ontario, right? So you're doing one in Ontario?
That's
Okay,
correct.
so
Yeah.
the one in High River looks like it's heading right here to Lethbridge, gathering outside the Canadian Food Inspection Agency building. So one of the issues that sparked this is the CFIA cull order on the ostrich farm near Edgewood, British Columbia. So what changes are farmers looking for with the CFIA?
Primarily an outdated policy called a stamping out policy, which was employed about 23 years ago. And basically what it says is that if some of your herd or flock is sick, be it one or two, they're going to eliminate all of them. They say culling, I say killing. But what ended up happening was this family didn't want that. This family did not want to cull their birds. They have over 300 healthy ostriches. They ended up fighting the CFIA in court, took them to court as of January this year, and just lost recently. And then the CFIA came in quite heavy-handed with heavy weaponry and ended up opening fire on over 300 ostriches, some of which were left struggling for life in the morning and were beheaded. And it was really just it was a graphic thing, and we have all the photographs and everything. But the reason we had such a hard time getting the photographs is because the RCMP would not allow any drone footage. They put a no tam zone over the entire area, so you couldn't fly over to see what's going on. They put up great big hay bales, and then they put up great big spotlights facing away from the hay bales onto the road, so that oncomers couldn't see what was happening. And this cull was absolutely disgusting. It got Canadians enraged, and we're talking across the spectrum. This is not red, blue political things. This is people who care about life and see these majestic animals just mowed down against the wishes of supporters that were there for them 8 months. I was on that property for 6 months, living on that property for 6 months, and watched the day in, day out of the emotional and psychological terror that family was being put through because of a government agency employed by a world governance structure, which is another story.
Yeah, I know we had Katie on our show a few times, and it was really heartbreaking because she said that some of these birds have long lifelines, and a lot of them she grew up with. Some of them were over 20 years old. They all had names. She said they all had personalities. So it wasn't just like you say, mowing down a herd of birds. These were actually somebody's livelihood and their pets as well. And as she said, members of their family. So it was really sad. And one thing that we had heard was that the CFIA had brought in an expert marksman. So that doesn't sound very expert marksman, like if some of those birds were still lying there in the morning and had to be, as you said, beheaded.
The official count from the CFIA the following day was 314 birds were killed there was over 900 rounds of ammunition that were set off. So somehow they were either inaccurate or sadistic. And I tend to go towards the latter. There was absolutely no need for this to go down the way it did. And it was almost like a shot over the bow to regular Canadians going, you're next, you're the ostriches. And it's almost like a desensitizing campaign to make us think that this somehow is okay. And then some people will say, well, they're doing it with chickens and turkeys all the time. I'm not saying that's any better. But when they are 8-foot tall, majestic, noble beings who look at you with a comport of just confidence and curiosity, and then you think of these guys in white suits going in there terrorizing them, it's something that's offensive to the conscience of any peace-loving Canadian.
Yeah, I have chills right now just picturing it. I guess, on the other hand, the CFIA does have a responsibility to not take any chances with the overall health of animals and humans in cases where a virus can jump from animals to humans. So what would you say to the argument that they are simply ordering or operating in due diligence?
If they are, then they would not have threatened to punish the family with $200,000 fine and or 6 months in jail for every bird that they tested. And that was an ongoing threat from the very first time. If they tested their own birds, they would be either thrown in jail or billed $200,000 or fined $200,000 per bird. Okay, they have over 300 birds. They were not allowed to test the entire time. This whole thing was predicated on 2 PCR tests that happened back in January, which were run at over 35 cycles at a non-credited facility. The only one was over in Windsor. They did it out in Abbotsford, and within 41 minutes of those 2 PCR tests coming back on 2 dead birds that were sitting there for 18 hours, within 41 minutes, they condemned all the birds to death and said, that's it, it's over. And from there, they couldn't do one test. The family weren't allowed to do one test, nor did the CFIA come in and do any testing. They just killed them. Stamping out policy, the way it's been done for eons, is a burning out policy. If you have sick animals, you segregate them. You put them into a different pen. You wait to try to nurse them back to health. If they get better, you reintroduce them into the herd. If they die, then whatever they had died with them. But the immunity that they get when they overcome these things was what, and if this is a little bit of a rabbit hole here, the immunity that comes with these birds being on the planet for 11 million years, the species is very old. It's not even a bird. It's called a ratite. There's only a few different animals in the ratite category. But these birds have immunity passed down for millions and millions and millions of years from their great-great-grandparents. That immunity is passed down in the yolks of the eggs to the babies, who now, when they grow up, they don't have to worry about that. So the rest of the flock got over it. Whatever it was, they got over it, are stronger, and their genetics were stronger. And Big Pharma, that is either a really great opportunity to cash in or a great way to squash competition.
Oh, wow. Wow. Jim, I'm just curious, are there any other farmer protests happening in British Columbia, more specifically about the ostriches? Why? Well, you kind of explained that there are pockets happening all over. So I would imagine there's some happening near that Edgewood area.
It's really interesting. Today, the family was in the court. They went down to the court. I guess it was ostensibly to get fingerprints done or something, based on there was 4 people charged on the farm, myself, the owner, her daughter, and one other gentleman. So they went down to the courthouse today. So that there was a rally around that, but it's popping up all over the place. Like I wish I had some kind of, but I don't. It's just spontaneous. People are really, really, really upset. And I think with the advent of the internet now, that you can make a poster like that, you can just put some terms in, people make a poster. They're just, it's happening all over the place. It's wild to watch.
Yeah. The one here in Southern Alberta looks like it's specifically ending at the Lethbridge CFIA building. So, getting off of that and kind of onto other complaints that farmers are having. So we're often hearing the farmers complain about being overtaxed, especially on fuel. So what are you hearing from protesters on tax issues?
It's a way of life issue. I think Canadians, we have traditionally been very well fed. We have been, quite lucky that we've always had opportunities. If we wanted to work, we had those opportunities to work. But what's happening now is the financial pressures and the time pressures that are being put upon everyone, as well as the psychological pressures with all the other stresses that are going on, are starting to push them to the point whereby they feel like they have no other choice. And it's always been my admonition that we let peace win here. And yet what I'm seeing is a segment of the population is starting to feel like peace isn't working anymore and that they're going to have to take other actions. And I don't want it to go that way. I want us as a Canadian people, as humanity, to come together and understand that there's something bigger than us going on here. Sometimes we just need to get out of the way and recognize it. But when there's something wrong, we need to stand up against it, and regardless of the threats. I mean, the police have called my mom, the police have called my son, all about this protest thing. And I'm not even going. Like, I mean, I'm going, but I'm having an event at Queen's Park where a lot of people are ending up. But they're trying to frighten people who are involved in this. A lady that's like 60 years old got a call from the RCMP yesterday saying that you don't want to be like Chris and Tamara. Do you remember the Freedom Convoy? Well, they got all this, the jail time and everything. And if you do this, you could end up like them. And she got scared and stopped. She's not going now. But the police had no right, because this is a legal thing. Everybody, it's law abiding, peaceful. Everybody follow the law. Check the laws first. Don't go if you want to cause trouble. This is just peace loving Canadians that want a better way of life for themselves.
Yeah, it looks like all the online instructions are very clear that this is to be a peaceful, law-abiding protest, not blocking traffic, not a long-term kind of protests. However, protests often attract all kinds of individuals. So do you think that you'll see some rogue protesters who end up not following the rules and getting themselves arrested?
It's possible. I would suggest that there isn't enough time for the rogue protesters to really get mobilized. This has all just kind of transpired over the past week and a half, and sometimes they need they got to get all their dots in a row. Other people are just like, oh, well, we got to do something, so we do it. So I think the likelihood of that is quite small. Even when you looked at the Freedom Convoy, there was very few instigators compared to the amount of people that showed up, and I don't see that as being a big problem. And because it's so distributed, I mean, they'll have to be in a lot of places all at once to cause a real hubbub. And if there's any problems, I would suggest it'll probably be in Ottawa, I would guess, if there was any problems.
Right. Will there be a convoy that will be gathering at Parliament Hill or heading to
Absolutely.
Ottawa?
There are several,
Okay.
and I'm not going to say convoys. We're calling slow rolls because convoy is a bad word now.
Right.
There are several slow rolls coming in from all over the place to be at Parliament Hill and there's also an event at Parliament Hill in Ottawa. But that's going to be challenging because, they don't, and they've been all over. Anybody, and the lady that I was talking to about previously is the one that was going into Ottawa near Kingston, from Kingston. So.
Okay. By the way, Jim, who, people are asking who's organizing this protest, or are there, official organizers, or are they or in light of like what you were saying, Tamara Leach and Chris Barber have gone through, maybe no one wants to come out and be labeled as an organizer.
Well, I believe that to be true, but I also believe that, Chris and Tamara and those guys, they called themselves organizers. They were in it early, but I never went to the protest because of them. They weren't the reason I went. I had other issues and I heard it was happening, so I went. So, no, I mean, everybody's taking an individual leadership role. They're just doing whatever they can. Like, I'm not going to be on the rolls, but I'll help with the website, and that person can't do whatever, but she's going to help make posters. And it's just, I don't know. It's really cool. It's almost like they squashed the mushroom and all the spores went.
Oh gosh. What kind of response are you getting? How many people do you think are going to show up to this?
I don't know. I mean, the website's been up for about a week and a half now. We've got about 20,000 people and another couple thousand people joining every day on the website. Mm-hmm. There's probably about 30 different locations that I can pin down that I've found posters for, probably about 30 locations across Canada, but that's only the ones that I've found. And there's a lot of them are, there's no central way of collecting them. So who knows, right?
Yeah. Maybe remind viewers when and where the Farmers Protest Canada will be gathering and how they can take part if they want to join in.
Sure. It commences on November 22nd between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. at a city or town near you. Find a poster, join in. If there isn't one, you can go ahead and make your own. There's somebody that will help you. If you go to the Farmers Protest Canada website, it's farmersprotestcanada.com or Farmers Protest Canada on Facebook, you will be able to get a hold of somebody who will be able to make your poster. You'll find it where there's one near you, or you could submit one if you want to do that too. And it can happen all day long. There's no rules around it. You are doing what you're doing. I'm doing what I'm doing. We're getting out in the streets as fellow peace-loving Canadians who want to make a change, and will not allow four-letter agencies to come in and decimate not only farms, but people's livelihood, living, rare genetics, everything. I mean, it's got to end.
Thanks so much for your time, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.